to the whiteboard. This time around, we want to look at the ossification of the scapula. And I'll tell you that the scapula has what we call 8 centers of ossification, just by way of sketching it. Now, it has one primary center of ossification. So there's one primary center of ossification in the body, and this center of ossification appears around the 8th week of intrauterine life, and by the 15th year it gets ossified. So by the 15th year, yes, around the 8th week of intrauterine life, by the 15th year, it ossifies. Now, the medial border presents with one ossification center. And this is the only primary ossification, so there are 7 secondary centers of ossification. So there is one secondary center here, one secondary center of ossification at the medial border, and there is one secondary center of ossification at the glenoid cavity. So there's one secondary center of ossification at the glenoid cavity. So far we've seen that there's one primary, one secondary at the medial border, one not being, and then we also have one at the inferior angle. So there's one secondary center at the inferior angle. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We said there are 8. Now these two processes present with 2 each. So one for the acromion. So acromion has 2 secondary centers of ossification. The coracoid process also has 2 secondary centers of ossification. So we now have 8. Now, for the times that they appear and fuse, what happens is that now out of the 2 secondary centers that the coracoid process has, one of them appears during the first year of postnatal life, and fuses around the 15th year. Now the rest of the secondary centers all appear at puberty. So remaining secondary centers appear at puberty and fuse fuse by the age of 20, so by the 20th year. So there is one primary center. I have to keep your questions when I'm done, then we look at it. So there's one primary center of ossification in the body, appears around the 8th week of intrauterine life, gets ossified by the 15th year. Now the remaining ones are secondary centers. One secondary center at the medial border, one secondary center at the inferior angle, one secondary center at the glenoid cavity. Now 2 secondary centers each for the acromial and coracoid processes. And what happens is that one of the secondary center located in the coracoid process appears during the first year of postnatal life and fuses by the 15th year. Now the remaining secondary centers
what they do is that they appear around puberty. You know, it can be 13, 14, 15, whatever, but will fuse with the rest of the body by the age of 20.